Investing in a new distribution management system or changing from your current system is a serious business decision. There are cost factors, employee issues, timing concerns that impact business procedures and customer service. In other words, there are serious questions that need to be answered, and answered in a straightforward, no-nonsense manner. Some of the most frequently asked questions are, why should I change from my present system? Why should I buy Eclipse? Why is Eclipse fundamentally different? Will Eclipse's functions, features, and technologies be right for my business? How easy is it to use? What will Eclipse do for my business? Will Eclipse grow with us? No. Better yet, will it lead us? How effective is the customer support and the users group? And bottom line, what's the payback and how quickly is that going to happen? These are tough questions, and the answer shouldn't come from the seller. They've got to come from your peers and contemporaries, distribution owners and managers who researched many systems, visited many companies, spoke to many users, and then made an important decision. In this case, it was a decision to purchase Intuit Eclipse, a decision that they say fundamentally changed everything. Welcome to Why Intuit Eclipse. I'm your host, Bob Becker. Fact: Eclipse was born in a place just like this, a distribution warehouse in New England. It was created and designed by people who spent many years in the industry. It was born out of need, not promotion. That's why many users say it's right for my business, because it really works. We traveled cross-country, asking Intuit Eclipse users about their experiences. We spoke to folks whose company just went live, others who have been on the system past the honeymoon, others still who were long-term users. Their responses were candid and consistent. A couple of years ago, I asked a client of mine for an on-camera testimonial. He declined, saying, "It's not going to legitimize your message because you're only going to use the comments that are flattering." I agreed, but I told him that some testimonials appear obviously edited, selectively complimentary, whereas the ones that ring true every time come from in-the-trenches experience. It's the real world. They're the result of long-term relationships and mutual respect. And the moment you see and hear them, you know they're real because you can see it in their eyes.
Well, for us, it's been one of the best moves we've ever made. We've gained a tremendous amount of efficiency in all areas of the business. You know, if somebody's asking me to, what system would they want to purchase for their distribution business, it would be Intuit Eclipse.
You can talk to 500 people that will tell you that yes, it will make a difference. But I can tell you, and I'm a pretty big enthusiast I'm very enthusiastic for Eclipse because it cut our inventory 50% while our service level stayed the same. And it gives us tools we've never had before. The information is there and the log on who did what, when. And it's real time, which is still nobody's real time but Eclipse.
Everything is real time. Other people I talk to that don't have real time just don't quite comprehend how powerful that is. Real time is so big. Our branch managers every single day, every single hour know exactly where they stand. I know people that look at that business summary 25 times a day just to see how things are going.
My job in the company is to make all the other employees more productive. And if the technology can't do that, then it's really meaningless. So the big thing that Eclipse did right away was you could see that it made a counter person more productive. It made a purchasing guy more productive. And only people with experience in the industry could have developed a software like that.
And we couldn't grow the way we've grown in the last, 4 years without it. Now that's obviously a testimonial, but it's true. There's no way we could produce the sheer volume put out every day on the old systems we can with the new system.
No one that matched our needs better than Eclipse. They certainly are a partner, more than I've seen with any other partner that we've ever dealt with. I'd give them a big endorsement.
Eclipse is an extremely important partner in our business. It's the basic operating system for our business, and without it, we could have chaos. We were had a dinosaur as far as compared to our competitors. We had to move. But we feel like we went from being behind the times in like a prehistoric era to really ahead of the times. That was in hindsight, it was probably the best business decision we've made in the decade of the 90s.
It's an incredibly dynamic product. It's very user-friendly. The drill down capabilities are amazing. You know, the hotkey functions are just a definite plus throughout. The fact that you could audit everywhere throughout the system is an incredible tool, I think, and it really helps grow your business.
Intuit Eclipse is the way that we get information from our customers, the way that we pass information amongst our employees. It's how we know what's been going on. It's how we plan what we're going to do in the future. How we know how well we did. How we know what areas we need to improve on in order to help the bottom line. What areas we need to improve on to improve the customer relationship, to improve the bottom line.
The capabilities and the flexibility of the system were the two biggest things for us, and Intuit Eclipse was far better than the competition on that.
All I can compare it to is from what my competitors have discussed with me on the luxury and what kind of advantage I really do have by having the Eclipse platform. So that's really the ultimate compliment of Intuit Eclipse's platform for us, is that those that don't have it wish they did.
The first fundamental question is, why should I change from my current system? Change impacts employees, operations, customer service, and the concerns about disruption are very real and take a toll if not handled properly. And bottom line, it's a significant investment to make a change. So we asked Eclipse users, given all these concerns, what prompted them to choose another system?
If you are looking to grow and you are looking down the road a piece, the investment made now will allow you to grow in the future and maintain your current level of overhead. It will increase your productivity. It will increase your profitability. In our management meetings, many times we have complimented Eclipse amongst ourselves, realizing where we were prior, where we are today, but our employee overhead has remained the same, with very few changes. Those are the things that Eclipse, if managed properly, has done for us. And we can still grow with our current staff. The system is still capable of handling our growth. That's what it's about.
The determining factor probably for us is a little different than a lot of people. And with the fact that we sell, and we are a master distributor and sell to distribution customers exclusively, we asked a lot of our customers what they use. And we do business with everyone from single branch mom and pop type distributors all the way up to the Fergusons and the Hugheses of the world. And so we had, with our sales force and with being very customer oriented, we had a good idea of what people were using, and it seemed like the product of choice from our customer base was Eclipse. And that, coupled with the fact that once we met someone from Eclipse and found that people didn't, once they were on Eclipse, they didn't change from Eclipse, we didn't look too much further.
The thing that we always looked at for any new system was keeping our inventory under control. With our previous system, we could take a physical inventory at the end of the year, and a week later it was off. And so that was always the key thing that we were looking for. Since then, just the ability to know exactly where your dollars are every day, know where your inventory is every day, the ability to make people more efficient because everything that they need is right at their screen.
And with Eclipse, it was a major step. It wasn't just an improvement and giving us capabilities that we didn't know that we needed. And we made the decision feeling that we were making at least a 5-year commitment, if not 10 or more, realizing the technology is changing, the hardware, the software. It seemed that Eclipse was going to be changing, and we would not have to do away with Eclipse and move to something else. We'd be able to grow. And that was our plan, was to grow the business and to have the infrastructure there to allow us to do that. And we've been very, very pleased with Eclipse and the decision. We have never regretted it.
The business owners, managers, and key employees that you've just heard from all knew that maintaining the status quo was not going to advance their business, was not going to give them that competitive edge. So they made an important decision and moved up to the next level. The process of selecting a new distribution management system is a combination of research, visits to see other working systems, question and answer sessions with your peers, pitches from vendor after vendor, and in the final analysis, it's a healthy dose of your own gut instincts and those of your employees. It's not an easy process, but it's an essential one considering what's at stake. So why buy Eclipse? You're about to find out.
In the late spring of '95. At that time, when we signed on with Eclipse, the reason we chose Eclipse was for the warehouse automation stuff. That was the actual #1 reason we went. I had, since I think the early '90s, decided that I didn't want to continue to live the way I was living, basically in a firestorm. So we decided that since most of the fires that developed in our company originated in the warehouse, that we would address that area first. So when we went on with Eclipse, that was a very, very important factor on why we chose Eclipse.
When we were looking at a new computer system, we looked at 5 different systems, very quickly narrowed it to 2. At that point, we started to keep a spreadsheet of activities and processes that each system did. And after looking at Eclipse 4 or 5 times and their competitor 4 or 5 times, we saw pretty quickly that from a sales standpoint anyway, in a sales cycle, both systems were purported to do basically the same things. It eventually got down to a decision of the heart. We believed in our heart that Eclipse would take better care of us as a customer than the other company we were looking at. And there's no way for me to sit here and tell if I'll ever be wrong. Had I chosen the other company, maybe I would say the same thing. But I can tell you that Eclipse has taken great care of us as a customer. The service that they promised, they delivered on.
I would say for anybody who is in the electrical industry or plumbing or any kind of distribution industry, that for us, Eclipse is a great software platform to track all aspects of our business, as far as sales, purchasing, tracking inventory, receiving, shipping, all those types of things. The Eclipse actually helps us to do that and to keep track of it, and each department, each branch can look and see and know what's happening within each department. It's a way to keep everybody on the same page.
It will. I think in the long term it saves you money, it makes you more efficient, makes you leaner. It can help you reduce your inventory costs, which of course are your largest expense, besides the medical, of course, would be next. But absolutely, I would say it would be an advantage to any organization. I mean, it's quite evident. I mean, all our competitors around us have bought the Intuit software within the last 3 years, but we got a heads up on them because we got a lot more experience on it. So if our competitors are buying it and we're just a little guy, then it's benefited us considerably, and they know it. Just that's what tells you what it's all about. What your competition's doing with it, and they're buying it. So.
Well, we love Eclipse. We like Eclipse. We have a great respect for the company and what they have done for our company, and we compare it occasionally with other softwares, and there is no comparison. And we're just always people that we show it to are so impressed with the product that if you don't at least look at it, you're making a mistake.
Every time we looked at another company, we compared it to what Eclipse had offered us. And at the end, the way that we looked at it was, Eclipse has it all, and the others are missing this or this or this.
It's my true opinion that I think Eclipse is the best package on the market based on all of its capabilities. I mean, there might be this one little thing that you don't care for or that, but I think if you look at Eclipse overall, it's the best product on the market.
All satisfied distributors, each with their own reason for purchasing Eclipse, but all of them coming to the same conclusion: it works. They all searched for and found a system that they say they won't have to replace, a system that understands their business, and that's why they've recommended it to their friends. A concept. Perhaps you've heard this one. A Clydesdale, a wagon-pulling workhorse, can pull in excess of 1.5 tons. Harness two together, and combined they pull over 8 tons. Translation: create a fundamentally different system that connects and harnesses everyone in the organization, pulling together with real-time information, and miraculously, everyone starts making unprecedented strides forward, company-wide. So we asked, what is it that makes Eclipse fundamentally different?
First off, what Eclipse does is it puts everything together. You don't have disconnected systems anymore because the real-time nature and the real-time updating of the general ledger says that my perpetual inventory records and my financial accounting records are always in sync because they're happening together. Because the products, the companion products, are seamlessly integrated into the software, I don't have to go someplace else to do something to make it work. It's just there. And so all those things kind of wrap things up, and they make life very simple. I don't have to live in different worlds to get the information I need. It's right there.
I think probably the first revelation was how interconnected Eclipse is, how you can start with something you sold at any point in time and drill back to the sales order, see the pricing, and if you want to see what you paid for it to get in, keep drilling back to the purchase order, look at the PO price, drill to the accounts payable record, look at the AP price. That's probably, the interconnectivity is probably the biggest thing I remember.
There's not any one single feature. You can't look at it that way. Eclipse is an integrated package that does a lot of things extremely well, better than any others. The internal communication tools, the ability to go in and out of the internet if people are web enabled, to reduce the amount of looking information up. And again, this is only based upon the amount of hours, thousands of hours of time spent building Eclipse to run that way.
We look at, in terms of real-time monitoring, business is all about speed today, and ours certainly is, especially selling to distribution customers. I mean, it is place the order today, wanted it yesterday, the truck is on the way to pick it up. And it's literally, that's the time frame. So when it comes to order processing for our customer service type people, very, very critical. From my perspective as the president of our company, I look at sales literally, not daily, not weekly, but I look at sales hourly to see what's happening and where we are, and if there's a problem with margins, if there's a problem with a specific product. We do the same thing on the product end of the business to make sure that our service levels are high. So, I mean, I think we're using every single component possible in terms of the real-time stuff that Eclipse brings to the table.
Real-time is very important to us because we have so many different people selling the same product, and we have to make sure that we have what the customer needs and make those promises in an orderly fashion. So real-time absolutely is critical for us to be able to give the customers the service that they expect. What's really put us a step up in that area is RF. With RF in the warehouse, our inventory is so much more accurate now than it ever used to be. And we can also do our counts real time.
Real time is a push of a button. That's real time for Eclipse. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want any information, it doesn't matter, and that can go back to tracking your errors. Inventory control. I handle inventory control for the location, and as doing inventory control, and anybody that's ever done any kind of inventory control can tell you that it's the biggest nightmare of this job. With the Eclipse system, there's quite a few different reasons on why it's simplified the whole inventory control nightmare, and that's exactly what it was.
Real-time lets us see information constantly. For instance, if a customer calls in and has questions about an order, we're able to see from the time that was processed what's going on with it. We can trace it all the way through the process, all the way to delivery, all the way to signature, everything. And it's all in real time, and it's just easy for us to do. It's getting easier all the time. And the customer, once they become accustomed to it, they really like it. Because they know we have a lot better information at our fingertips than we did before.
Well, the change log, if, say, something's happened on an order or something's come in wrong or whatever, receiving issue, whether it's receiving, billing, something's happened to your ticket, you can go right into that change log and find out who is in it, who did what exactly. Everything is spelled out for you. That was the best thing I ever saw in my life. I told my first customer about it one day, and they died. They said, "You can see anybody that's touched that order?" I said, "Every single step of the way." And they thought it was phenomenal. Because a lot of times in another system, you don't know who's touched what with that order. You have no clue.
Audit tracking and security is obviously very important to us. The audit tracking, what that has done is it really keeps people honest. And that's inspired much more cooperation than we ever had before we had the audit tracking, because once people realize they're accountable for things, it's in the background, and it's not in people's, we don't put it in their face, but they know that what they're doing is being tracked, and so they really are much more likely to work with each other. It really does foster cooperation.
The queues and the messaging system in Eclipse, as I said earlier, we use that extensively in communicating branch to branch and branch to corporate. Because the thing that we like about that is the fact that all of that communication gets attached to the transaction. So there's no more the dialogue that goes back and forth, whether it's between a customer and a salesman, or between accounts payable at corporate and a receiving person, or a purchasing agent and a branch manager. All that dialogue through the user job queues gets attached to that. So you have this wonderful track record of everything that took place. And if Bob is gone for the day and the customer calls up and says, "Why was I billed this price?" they can go into this. If there was any dialogue back and forth, it gets tracked in there. So it's a big change, and it's great. I mean, we love that feature of Eclipse.
Job queues were one of the biggest reasons we bought the system. That and accounts payable reconciliation, which we did not have on our old system. But being able to send messages to people with orders attached, or the accounts payable being able to send messages to purchasing with POs attached that then could be sent back, has freed up my people's time on the phone and walking around aimlessly, immeasurably. So I have found job queues have really increased our efficiency.
We use our job queues to communicate among our employees. So if you have a task that you can't complete by yourself, or if someone else needs to know about, you can just send them a job queue. And by sending a job queue, so much information is attached to that queue, such as the invoice number or account number or product item that you're looking at or that you're having difficulty with. You don't have to rekey all that information. You're just in there, shift F4, send somebody a job queue, and you're done. So it's efficient. It's quick, it's efficient, and it's complete.
Real-time timeline transactions, job queues, change logs, audit trails. Just some of the tools that make up a fundamentally different distribution management system, a system that enables and empowers internal cooperation to help a company become more competitive. How can anyone understand your business unless they've been behind a warehouse counter, suffered through month-end and year-end inventory counts, and tried to collect past due invoices with limited aging tools? How can anyone build a system with features, benefits, and technologies that are right for your business unless they came from your business? Well, they did. They built it and called it Eclipse.
After I spent 2 days with the guys who developed Eclipse and knew that they were behind it and were living it, and they knew our industry. They weren't salesmen. They weren't computer salesmen. I've had computer salesmen before do demos and all that, and everything's slick. But these guys, you know, they built it themselves. So I was behind them after I spent, it was 2 days that I spent with them, and I knew I had to get a product that had that much passion behind it.
We've used the RF system. We went live with the RF system, introduced that in '99 to enhance our inventory control, and our objective is to have 100% accurate inventory 365 days a year. We've just now gone away from the one time a year physical inventory and doing cycle counts, so we have a much higher confidence level of our inventory.
In my mind, I think RF really put us in a whole new league, because I say that because we can now schedule order picking and have crews stay later on at night that don't have to be as experienced as they used to be. In other words, before RF, we needed the whole warehouse crew there, because in order for the right hand to know what the left hand was doing, they both had to be there at the same time. Now with RF, you can have receiving done late in the day, order picking done after that or first thing in the morning, and you don't have to have all the parties there in order to accomplish that.
I can email reports to our accountant. I can download reports from Eclipse. Whereas in the past I had to mail a package. I said the printouts were this big, literally this big, wider than my hands can go here, and it wasn't exactly, you know, especially now with the internet and the web and everything else under the sun, it makes everything so much easier to deal with present day needs, whether it's your accountant or whether it's your bank or whether it's, you know, your next door neighbor or a customer. So it makes it a lot easier getting reports out and getting it, I said, in the real time, and getting people information that they need, more accurate information that they need more readily.
You know, our managers would find that they found information once a month via a report that was printed that would arrive 10 days after the month closed, and so they're managing in a very reactive mode. Even the information they got was very limited. Now it's at the speed of light. You know, the information you need to manage your business is in front of you constantly.
Because we're now doing imaging and everything is inside that computer, you know, inside that server rather than in files, we gained about 1,000 feet of space, which we built a conference room and, I'm sorry, 2 conference rooms and an accounting office where we used to have our files. And literally, you know, I don't keep stuff on my desk. If I'm going to keep it, it goes in the system. It's all imaging. And it's probably the least expensive and best value for your money product that Eclipse came out with.
Document imaging. We image all of our invoices, all of our packing slips. We don't keep any more paper. AR uses that. AP uses it. And that's, you know, it's just, we used to have massive filing cabinets in the office. No more filing cabinets. We have room for extra desks because we've expanded, you know, a bigger company, more inside salespeople. That's been a big help to us. Signature capture, we don't keep any kind of paper from our deliveries or at the counter. We use Palm Pilots for signature capture on the delivery side, and we use signature pads, e-pads, at all of our counters at every one of our branches. So we only print single part forms. We don't get double part forms anymore, and there's just no paper. And all the signatures are kept on the NT server, as are all the images.
We do utilize the web order entry, or what we call D&D Star Online. We give it our own little marketing name. And that allows us, those products allow us to compete for business that we couldn't get in the past because we were just another distributor. Now, we're a 55-year-old company, so we're not really just another distributor, but it's hard to convey that sometimes in the sales cycle with our customers. So the companion products, specifically the web order entry and the remote data collection, have allowed us to show our customers efficiencies that they can garner and that we can demonstrate that we're efficient, which obviously would keep our costs in line, that excite them where they haven't been excited in the past.
We have web order entry. We're processing orders downstairs 8 hours a day. Customer dials in. They know right then and there whether or not the product's available. As long as they get their order in before the next person does, they've got the order. And we've been doing that for 3 years now, and our customers love it. You know, at midnight, they're trying to catch up on their paperwork. They can log in and see whether or not they can place the order and if they can get it on a truck the next day. We don't even have to be there.
Customers love our website. It's actually so convenient because there's times where we're swamped by phones. If you have that password, all you have to do is automatically go onto our website, check stock, get the information you need. If you need a quick response on freight information, all you have to do is request that in the shipping instructions. And then once I get your order, we review the notes, and by the time I call you back, you'll have your information instead of having to wait a day or two.
We manage about 35 different storerooms in the central Pennsylvania area. The way that's done is we will go in, set up a shelf labeling system, organize their storeroom if it's not already organized. And then once a week, we have a guy whose job is to travel from storeroom to storeroom. He has access to the building, to the storeroom, takes a handheld remote data collector unit, little Palm Pilot, scans the boxes that need replenished. They go into his handheld. He goes back to his car, puts it in a cradle using a cellular modem, connects to Eclipse at our site, uploads a replenishment order, and the order is shipped the next day.
It's a great tool. It makes it a lot easier for our man to go into the customer's place. They can easily scan the barcode on the box that we've already put on there, just type in account, go to the next product. He didn't have to fool with writing it down on a piece of paper, keeping a little notebook, whatever. Comes back, downloads it, it instantly creates a replacement sales order that we can hit a key and ship the stuff out. So it's been great for us.
We've seen a direct benefit with EDI in terms of saved manpower. We got into EDI because we had vendors pushing us to do EDI. And we had some customers that said, if we're going to give you purchase orders, you're going to have to take them EDI. So we got into it kind of as a necessary evil. But one of the things we found, especially in accounts payable, is increased efficiency. We went from 2.5 people doing accounts payable to 1 person doing accounts payable. And I can pretty much attribute that directly to cost savings via EDI because of all the automatic matching Eclipse EDI does with taking a PO receiving record and matching it to an inbound 810 EDI record from the vendor. And if they match up, it's done.
The PDW has been a big benefit to us. We were one of the early users of that because we don't use trade service or any of the price updates. So what we started doing was getting discs from our vendors with our price changes, and then we were downloading them in through PDW. So with the discs that I can get from the vendors now, my 5 main lighting lines are all being edited through PDW. And since we also create a ton of non-stocks through our showrooms, the PDW has helped a lot because it brings in the information we need, and then the salespeople can just add to it. So that's made a big difference for us.
Well, when you say task automations and relate them to the customers, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Salesforce automation, where our salespeople have Palm Pilots, and you can go in and show them how did this bid go, and as soon as they see that Palm Pilot and they see here's what I still have open on this order, here's what is open on bids, and here's what my AR is, and you walk in and just start talking to them. First thing I want to do is, let me take a look at that, and they're really, and what I was heavily involved in the implementation of the Palm Pilots, and the first impression you get from the customer standpoint is they really think and believe that you are up to date with your technology. And if there's one thing that we have a lot of the products that Eclipse offers, and we want to be up to date. We want to demonstrate that. We're very heavy in the OEM and industrial business. And if you can't show that, somebody else is going to. And we're very pleased with the look on the customer's face when you go out there and throw that data out to him on an instantaneous basis.
It's really fundamentally a computer system that addresses every aspect of your business. It's not just an inventory machine or a bookkeeping machine. It is a software package that understands how you conduct your business, understands where your mistakes are, and will actually guide you in places that you've not even thought about.
An Eclipse user just defined his system as a software package that understands how you conduct your business, understands where your mistakes are, and guides you into places you've not even thought about. And that comes from a 10-year veteran of Eclipse. Another vital question that needs to be answered is, can my employees quickly learn Eclipse while at the same time integrating it into their day-to-day activities? So we asked the folks in the trenches and on the front lines, how easy is it really to learn Eclipse?
Our people love it, and we came from nothing, so we didn't know what to expect. And our salespeople, as they found out all the information that was available to them, and how easy it was for them to see their gross profit or to see how many sales they had made that month, there were a lot of smiles. And it happened quickly. It didn't take long before everyone was moving around in the system and finding their way around, and it was relatively quick. I thought it was fun.
The software made our jobs easier. It made reproduction of records easier, made our reporting easier, reporting to the accountants. It made it easier for us to work with each other, since Eclipse program works from the beginning of the sale to the very end of the accounting purposes. It just made us easier to work, for all of us to work together instead of being separate and fighting each other.
When we went with RF, we have a warehouse guy that's been with us forever, and he's in his 60s now. And he's one of these guys that just does not like technology. He'll grow a beard from his chin down to here in 3 days almost. But he's just the neatest guy in the world. And when we told him we were going RF, he said, "Ain't no way I'm going to do it." So I thought, well, okay, we'll deal with that when we get there. Well, the day we went live, I just grabbed him by the arm. I said, "Come on, let's do it." And I worked with him on it, and he made it through the day somehow. And next day he came in. I said, "Well, you ready to tear into it?" He says, "I went home last night and I told my old lady I'm going to learn this if it kills me." And now you couldn't get that scanner out of his hand if you tried. You couldn't pry it out of his hand.
I just trained a new girl a couple weeks ago, and I showed her all the tricks right away, and she's a whiz at it now. She's only been with us a couple weeks, and she knows how to get through the system so easy now.
It was a lot easier than we thought it was going to be. We did what I like to call preparation day, where we had a fake day and had everyone come in. We opened the counter, so to speak, and wrote orders and had a dry run through just to see how it was going to work for us. And everybody was just amazed at how quick everyone picked up on it.
When I hire people, I'm looking for somebody that can halfway type and has good sense and will read a little bit. It tells you what to do right there on the screen. You've got hotkeys that'll take you to a different area if you need to go there. Everything's logically laid out. It takes some training, because people are afraid. Just after they relax, after they see how it works, they say, "Oh, that's easy."
Can my employees easily learn Eclipse? The answer just provided shows how change-resistant employees were pleasantly surprised empowered, and then quickly got up and running and never looked back. You're about to hear from additional Eclipse users throughout the country and at every organizational level. They recall their war stories. No, let me rephrase that. They recall their success stories and why they're glad they made the investment in Eclipse and what it did for their jobs, their lifestyles, their customers, and for their companies.
I would say it's changed my life radically, that from spending time grinding out figures, I now spend time managing. That, matter of fact, I am now, happily or unhappily, I don't know, but I'm the general manager as well. And that's because I now have the time to manage. And I'm able, once again, because our employees are talented people and because our employees readily accepted their empowerment, I don't have to do a lot of this drudgery anymore, that I can push it off to Rob purchasing or accounts receivable or information systems, and they're very able to get it done with the tools that Eclipse and Intuit provided. And under Intuit now, I'm somewhat familiar with the company. I feel that we'll only get better and get better quickly.
Made us more efficient. I think that's probably the number one thing. It's made us more efficient. As I said before, it allows us to know where our inventory is. It allows us to know on a daily basis exactly where we stand. When I look at the business summary every morning, you know, I can come in, I can look at that business summary, and I can know exactly what our company is doing, what our inventory levels are, what our sales levels are, what our receivables are. We know it on a consistent daily basis. And when you know that about your company, then you can go forward.
Well, it was a major transformation for us because we pretty much came from a manual system at 4 of our branches where everything was processed at our corporate branch. So it was the first time that we had online inventory, first time that we had access to the database from our 4 other branches. So it was a significant change and it was exciting because it was the first time that everybody has instant information. Something that had not had for years.
No, I can get 3 times as much work done, essentially. Something that used to take me a half a day to do, now takes me an hour. Just in terms of, pricing out quotes, following up with what I'm doing, making out purchase orders, things of that nature. Essentially, the paperwork end of it is all but disappeared. As quick as you do something, it's done because it's logged into the system.
When I first came in the business, I've been in the business 27 years. We used to do inventory January 31st, and in June, we got the inventory figures, okay? Now, there's no way you can run a business that way. And you never knew what was anywhere. We had 4 floors and 3 buildings, and you never knew where anything is. Now, every morning I look at my business summary. It shows me what we have in inventory. It shows me what we got going in purchases. It shows me my adjustments and my sales, and I can make decisions based on that. So if you look at the transition over the years, there's a huge difference.
We have definitely taken market share from other distributors because of the Intuit Eclipse system. The capabilities of the system and the efficiencies it allows us to give the customers and allows for us have allowed us to acquire accounts that we couldn't acquire in the past.
We've just heard about a new and improved way of doing business. As one of the users just said, it enabled us to get the information that we needed to be able to run the business better. So jobs got streamlined, productivity increased, people throughout the business experienced an improved and sustained quality of life. The bar was raised on customer service, and it all flowed to feed their revenue stream and to increase their profitability. What about the future? Technology seems to have no season. It changes almost at will. This next question hits this concern dead on. Will Eclipse grow with us, or better yet, will it lead us?
Well, I would say that the key to any software enterprise system would be the progression and the capabilities of maintaining progress. And when I look at Eclipse, Intuit Eclipse, excuse me, I look at a system that has really taken a life of its own and has become the envy of those that don't have the system in our trade. So when I look at the system, I look at someone or an entity that has a real commitment to making progress, to staying on the cutting edge, to adding modules that meet the demands of their customers, to seeking out new ways to improve our business.
When you say technology, most people think of hardware, but in this case it is technology, but it's a software, and it's the fact that it's software that's designed to fit all of the processes that you're doing every day. I mean, that's the key to Eclipse, is that it's a well-designed package that really understands the flow of information within our business.
We noticed back in 1993 when we looked at the system is that they were so far ahead of their competitors technically that we knew that we needed a system that would always be ahead of us. And what Eclipse has done is there's so much depth to the Eclipse system that I don't know that we'll ever take full advantage of it. You know, so the beauty of it is that any company can really go as far as they want with the system.
And it's nice that everything is incorporated with Eclipse, because we don't have to go out and buy third-party vendored items and try to make it fit. And so that can lead to a lot of complications and problems, and we'd had that in our earlier life with our other systems. So we wanted to avoid that, and we lean on Eclipse for everything we do from a technology standpoint, and they've responded, and we feel very comfortable with the direction that they're taking our business.
If I look at systems that I've worked with in the past, a system has a life, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years if you're lucky. And the reason is because the technology always outgrows the system. And therefore what I'm doing is every couple of years, every 5, 10 years, I'm throwing the system away that I invested so much in, and now I'm going and buying a new system and starting from scratch. With Eclipse, I'm not going to have to do that. I tell my distributors that come on board, Eclipse is the last system you're ever going to have to buy.
You've heard the phrase lead, follow, or get out of the way. Eclipse users seem to have gotten their old technology out of the way and are now being confidently led forward, no longer being reactive, but now being proactive in a constantly changing world of technology. How about the phrase, a product is only as good as its support? There it is, support. Without it, you're on your own, and that is not an option. So the question is, how effective is Eclipse's customer support, and how dynamic is its users group? You're about to get those answers from new users and old friends.
The power of Eclipse is this backbone of very strong, very capable, very dedicated people from inception all the way up. They have, they demand it from everyone who works for them, and we see that in the support that we get and the programmers and the people that I have to deal with every day.
Support for us has been fantastic. Initially, we did a lot of training with our people. We have a couple of, I would call, product champions or software champions that have really taken the ball and run with it. And we've probably tried every different type of service support that Eclipse offers. Everything from being involved in the user group at this point, to doing some of the webinar type stuff, to having a consultant come out. And in every single one of those instances, we've picked up something that otherwise we probably wouldn't know, in addition to accomplishing the things that we wanted to accomplish, or that was the focus of the person or the seminar that we did.
I think that's something that's sort of unique in the industry, the relationship that Eclipse has with its users. Sometimes I call the Eclipse users religious zealots. They are very excited about the software that they use. And Eclipse rewards us for that. Eclipse devotes a lot of time and attention to what the user group wants.
they devote a lot of time and attention to what users in general want, but if you've made the commitment to join the user group, you get special privileges. So the posters outside say membership has its privileges, and Eclipse helps us out. I don't think many software companies have that kind of cooperative relationship with their users. It's definitely a win-win situation. We do a lot for Eclipse. There's a lot of volunteers in the user group that spend many hours helping users, which makes users happy with the software that they use. And in turn, Eclipse is very gracious in the stuff that they give us.
Well, this is where I find those ideas, and I hear people talking about what they're doing, and I'm thinking, well, you know what, that would fit for us, or if it doesn't fit, I can at least investigate it and see if it is a good fit. And many times it is. I go home with pages of notes of things that I want to look at and check out, and the conference is gold, absolute gold. Platinum, okay, platinum.
In 1997, our city had a major flood, and we had 3 feet of water in our warehouse. And after a week, I could get back in there, and I got my IBM RISC box out of there, took it out, put it into a temporary warehouse that we were using, and plugged it in and fired up, and I was in business again. I was running, and the support people, they were on the phone with us all day, every day for that week, helping us get moved, get set up. Yeah, I can't say enough about them. They have always been there and very, very helpful, patient.
One Sunday morning, I got a call at about 7 o'clock in the morning from the controller saying that our building was on fire and it was fully involved. So I went down there hoping that it was just going to be a few pallets or something like that, but you could just see all the flames jumping up, and it basically burned pretty much to the ground. We did have off-site backup, fortunately, so I retrieved the off-site backup, and we were able to open up in our 2 branches the following morning, and with the wonderful help from Eclipse, this is where Eclipse support was so great, was they were able to actually get us a computer, and we had somebody who went down to them and got all of our data on it. So after 24 hours after the fire, we were able to open with the computer and all of our data. We were just missing 1 day's worth of information.
Eclipse is there for you to get you back up running. They're a partner. They're not just a vendor selling you software that you've bought the software and you're done. That's how I view Eclipse. They're part of my business. That, with the expertise that they have to allow you to do this type of job, distribution, I can't see how you couldn't buy it.
As one owner said, Eclipse is not just a vendor selling you a software that you've bought and now you're done. They're a part of your business. They're your partner. Perhaps this was never more apparent than when one user's business flooded with 3 feet of water and another's burned to the ground. As you've just heard, after the water subsided and the fire was out, within 24 hours, Eclipse had them up and running. That's support. In business, it all comes down to the bottom line, payback, return on investment. As you'll see and hear, payback manifests on many levels. It's control over your business, control over your inventory, streamlined productivity, enhanced customer service, improved quality of life, increased profitability. So the question is, what is the payback, and how quickly does that happen?
We were hoping for payback within 3 to 5 years, and really it was much sooner than that. I mean, within a year, I think we had really, well, within the first 6 months, we knew that there was no question we had made absolutely the right decision, only regretted we hadn't done it sooner. But within a year, we felt that we had already received our payback.
I'd say between 3 and 6 months. We were surprised how quickly we started to see a benefit. We had projected 24 months, and within 6 months we were already trimming inventory. We were already operating more efficiently. We were pleasantly surprised at how quickly it came together for us.
We had, prior to being with Eclipse, we had 5 purchasing agents, and by relying on the Eclipse system, and we were able to take what were 5 purchasing agents and turn 3 of them into inside sales. We only have 2 purchasing agents now. One is in our central office who purchases for 4 branches, and the other single purchasing agent is in our largest branch. And his time is coming where he probably won't be needed as we get even more efficient in our operations.
Well, I think it manifested itself when employees started to realize that once again they were empowered, that they for the first time could stand in front of a customer and flip from screen to screen and get the answers they needed. And my wife is a school teacher, and she said that she treasures the look in a student's face that, I've got it. And I think the same thing is true in this, when you see the employees after a few weeks realize that this is worth it all. They can do it.
Payback for us on the Eclipse machine has been in the accounting department, of course. We haven't had to add people in the accounting department in 5 years at Roden, and we've grown considerably since then. We have the accountability that we needed. That, I think, is payback, because you don't, mistakes or problems that you might have don't just get lost in the shuffle. All the new things coming with e-commerce and all the new products that we've put together, those were things, I think that's payback to me, because these are things that I wanted, things that we were pushing for, the industry was pushing for, and Eclipse is delivering.
What actually happened was something, I think, the end result that we have now is beyond our expectations. It's I can't overestimate. It's very hard for me to explain how it's exceeded every single person in this organization's expectations. I think that when things are accurate in your warehouse, when things happen, when you do things that you say you're going to do, that it affects everybody from purchasing, bookkeeping, outside sales, the pickers, everybody is much, much happier. And I think that this company is a living example of that. And I don't want to be overly gooey about this whole thing, but it's affected company morale. The infighting between outside and inside is less. There is none now. Basically, the outside people think we're miracle workers only because we're able to do what we say we're going to do. It's not that complicated.
Control over your business, over your inventory, streamlined productivity, enhanced customer service, improved quality of life, increased profitability, all elements of payback. But as you've just heard, many experienced a literal payback, and it was far quicker than they ever imagined. It didn't just meet their expectations, it exceeded them. Tough questions demand plain and straightforward answers. And as we said in the beginning, the answers can't come from the seller. They've got to come from the users, the folks on the front line. Throughout this presentation, I hope your questions have been addressed and plainly answered. But before concluding, I'd like to share this thought with you. In the final analysis, it's not the programming, it's not the machines or formulas that build successful and enduring relationships. It's the people, passionate, caring, intelligent people who above all else remain committed to uncompromised product performance and customer service. I just want to thank you for investing your time in this presentation and for allowing me to be your host. May your choices and decisions bring you even greater success.